My mom stood there, holding a single-dollar bill, and told my daughter that's all she was worth. Gus gasped. My daughter's face just fell apart in front of everyone. I couldn't breathe. My daughter's face just fell apart in front of everyone. My name is Diane. I'm 36 years old, and I raised my daughter alone. I worked as a medical billing coordinator. It was steady work, unglamorous. It paid the bills and kept a roof over our heads. I never had the wealth or status my family valued so much. But I worked hard every single day, and I gave my daughter stability and love. My younger sister, Vanessa, was always the favorite. She married a rich man, lives in a massive house, and my mother constantly praises her for everything. Growing up, I was always called the disappointment. I didn't marry well, I didn't chase money, I chose independence over their approval, and they never forgave me for it. Mom made her feelings clear every chance she got. Vanessa's children were the real grandchildren. Emma was just the one from the broken home. I refused to accept that label for my daughter. I taught Emma to value education, kindness, and passion over status and money. She chose to study environmental science because she loved it. Mom called it worthless, a waste of time. I wasn't flashy or rich. My daughter didn't choose law or business like Vanessa's kids did. But I had something they never expected. I had the love and respect of someone they had written off long ago. If you've ever raised a child alone while your family judged every single choice you made, hit that subscribe button right now. I want to hear your story in the comments. Tell me how you stayed strong when no one believed in you. Let's prove them all wrong together. Click hype and let's go. The graduation reception continued after my mom's cruel display. Emma tried to hold back her tears while guests whispered to each other. I could hear them murmuring. I walked over to my mother and kept my voice low. How could you humiliate her on her graduation day? Mom looked at me with cold eyes. I'm being honest, Diane. She's studying plants and dirt. Vanessa's son Tyler is graduating from law school next month. That's worth celebrating. That's a real accomplishment. Vanessa appeared beside Mom with a smug expression. Maybe if Emma had any ambition, she'd get real support from this family, but we can't all be winners, right? Then Mom did something that made my blood boil. She handed Vanessa an envelope right in front of everyone at the party. This is for Tyler's graduation gift, $10,000 for his future. She said it loud enough for the whole room to hear. I felt rage and heartbreak mixing in my chest, but I stayed silent. I refused to ruin Emma's day any further. Later that evening, after all the guests had left, Emma came to me quietly. Her voice was small. Mom, am I really not worth anything to them? I pulled my daughter into my arms and held her tight. You're worth everything, Emma. Don't you ever let them define you. Their opinion means nothing. A week passed. Then Mom called with unexpected news. Her voice was flat and uninterested. Your Aunt Marlene passed away last night. Aunt Marlene was my father's older sister, the black sheep of the extended family. She had been estranged from everyone for decades. Mom dismissed her death quickly. She was always strange, lived alone her whole life, never had anything of value. I doubt there's even a funeral worth attending. But I remembered Aunt Marlene differently. She had always been kind to me, thoughtful. She asked about Emma's studies every time we exchanged Christmas cards. Marlene had quietly encouraged Emma's passion for environmental work over the years. She sent small gifts and handwritten notes. 3 days after the phone call, a lawyer contacted me directly. Miss Diane, I'm handling Marlene's estate. You and your daughter are named in the will. Please attend the reading next Tuesday. I was genuinely surprised. I hadn't seen Marlene in years. I never expected to be included in anything. Mom overheard me listening to the voicemail and laughed out loud. Marlene had nothing, Diane. Don't expect your hopes up. She probably left you her old furniture. Vanessa joined in the mockery. Maybe you'll inherit her cats. That would be fitting for you. At Marlene's funeral, which was small and quiet, Mom and Vanessa showed up late. They were dressed casually, clearly uninterested in being there. Mom complained loud enough for everyone to hear. I can't believe we had to come to this. She was nobody." A few of Marlene's friends glared at her, but I stayed quiet. I sat with Emma near the front, trying to honor the woman who had shown us kindness. Vanessa leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Why are you even here, Diane? She barely knew you." I ignored her. When the day of the will reading arrived, Emma and I walked into the lawyer's office. I froze when I saw Mom and Vanessa already sitting inside. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "You weren't contacted by anyone." Mom snapped at me. "Marlene was family here, Diane. I have every right to be here. Besides, if there's anything of value in that estate, it should go to the real family." Vanessa added smugly, "We're here to make sure things are divided fairly. You've never been good with money anyway." I watched Emma's face harden. I could see my daughter's pain clearly. I felt my own resolve building inside me. Mom kept lecturing me in front of everyone. "You've always been ungrateful, Diane. Marlene probably left you something small out of pity. Don't expect us to bail you out when you waste it on something foolish." Vanessa jumped in eagerly. "Honestly, if there's anything significant in that will, it should go to Tyler's law career. He has a real future ahead of him. Emma's degree won't even get her a real job." My hands started shaking, but I stayed silent. I was waiting. Vanessa rolled her eyes dramatically. "This is embarrassing. Why are we even wasting our time?" As the lawyer shuffled through his papers, my mind drifted back to the last real conversation I had with Aunt Marlene. It was 3 years ago. She had called me out of the blue one evening. Her voice was warm and gentle. "Diane, I know your mother doesn't see it, but you're raising Emma beautifully. Don't let them break her spirit. Don't let them win." I brushed it off as simple kindness at the time, but sitting in that office, I wondered if Marlene knew more than she ever let on. What none of us realized is that Marlene had followed Emma's academic career very closely over the years. She attended one of Emma's environmental research presentations at a local university. She sat in anonymous back of the hall, watching proudly. She reached out to Emma's professors. She donated money quietly to the environmental science department. She believed deeply in the work Emma wanted to do. I remembered something Marlene told me once during one of our rare phone calls. The people who judge you the loudest are often the most afraid of being judged. Mr. Grayson cleared his throat, ready to begin. I noticed a handwritten letter sitting on top of the will documents. The envelope had words written on it. "To Diane and Emma, the ones who never needed my money to have my respect." I looked over at Mom and Vanessa. They were scrolling through their phones, barely paying attention. They assumed this was just a boring formality. A strange calm settled over me. Whatever happened next, I knew something important. Marlene had seen us. She really seen us, in a way my own mother never did. Mr. Grayson began speaking in a measured tone. "Marlene's estate is more substantial than most people expected. She was a very successful environmental consultant and investor throughout her career." Mom's head snapped up immediately. Her eyes were suddenly alert. "How substantial are we talking about?" The lawyer ignored her completely and continued reading as if she hadn't spoken. She was very specific about her wishes and how she wanted her assets distributed. Then something unexpected happened. The door opened. A woman walked into the room with quiet confidence. It was Marlene's longtime friend and colleague, Dr. Patricia Lorne. I recognized her name from Emma's research papers. She was a prominent environmental scientist, highly respected in her field. She carried herself with a no-nonsense attitude. Dr. Lorne nodded at Emma and me with genuine warmth. Then she took a seat and explained her presence. "Marlene asked me to be here for this reading. She was my closest friend for 30 years. She wanted me to witness this moment." Mom immediately tried to charm her. She put on her best smile. "Oh, what wonderful to meet you. Marlene spoke so highly of her friends and colleagues." Dr. Lorne cut her off with an icy stare. "Actually, Marlene told me quite clearly how her family treated her over the years, and how they treated Diane, and how they treated Emma." Vanessa shifted in her seat, suddenly uncomfortable. Mom forced a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Dr. Lorne continued speaking without hesitation. "Marlene kept detailed journals throughout her life. She knew exactly who valued her as a person, and she knew exactly who only showed up when they thought there was something to gain." The tension in the room grew thick enough to cut with a knife. Mom tried to redirect the conversation. "Well, we're all family here at the end of the day. I'm sure Marlene would want us to come together during this difficult time and support each other." Dr. Lorne raised an eyebrow. Her voice was sharp. "Is that why you called her strange and worthless at her own funeral? I was there. I heard every word you said." Vanessa went pale as a ghost. Mom sputtered, trying to find words that wouldn't come. I felt a flicker of vindication warming in my chest, but I stayed composed and waited. Emma reached over and squeezed my arm gently. Dr. Lorne addressed the lawyer directly. "Please proceed with Marlene's wishes, Mr. Grayson. Let's honor her exactly as she asked to be honored." Mom and Vanessa exchanged nervous glances across the room. They were finally realizing they may have completely misread the situation. Mr. Grayson opened the official will documents. He began reading in a clear, professional voice. "To my niece, Diane, and her daughter, Emma." Mom couldn't contain herself. She interrupted loudly. "Wait a minute! What about the rest of the family? What about me?" Mr. Grayson didn't even look at her. He continued reading as if she hadn't spoken. "I leave the entirety of my estate, valued at approximately $1.2 million, along with my property in Colorado." The room went completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Vanessa's jaw dropped open in shock. Mom's face turned a deep shade of red. Mr. Grayson continued reading the details. "This includes my investment portfolio, my consulting business's residual contracts, and a dedicated trust fund specifically for Emma's graduate education and environmental research." Emma gasped beside me. Tears started streaming down her face. She grabbed my arm. Mom exploded from her chair. "This is absolutely ridiculous. Marlene barely knew them. I'm her sister-in-law. I've been part of this family for decades. I deserve consideration." Dr. Lorne interrupted her with an icy calm. "You deserve exactly what you gave Marlene throughout her entire life. Nothing." Mr. Grayson picked up Marlene's personal letter. He read it aloud to everyone in the room. "To Diane. You chose love over status. You raised a daughter who will change the world in ways they will never understand. I am so proud of you both. To Emma, your passion is your power. Never let anyone tell you that your work is worthless. The world needs people like you. To my so-called family, who only appears when there is something to take, you taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. You taught me who not to trust. Consider this will your final lesson from me." Mom stood up from her chair, her face twisted with fury. "We will contest this. This is not fair. She wasn't in her right mind." Mr. Grayson responded calmly, without any emotion. Miss Marlene anticipated that exact response. "This will is ironclad. It was properly witnessed, notarized, and includes a specific clause. Anyone who attempts to contest the will forfeits any future consideration whatsoever. Additionally, they will be publicly named in a letter Marlene left with the local newspaper, explaining exactly why they were excluded." Vanessa went pale as a ghost. She wouldn't actually do that. Dr. Lorne smiled with quiet satisfaction. "Oh, she absolutely would. And I have a copy of that letter ready to send to the newspaper editor if needed. We were close friends. I will honor her wishes completely." I finally spoke. My voice was steady and strong for the first time in years. "You spent my entire life telling me I wasn't enough. You told Emma she wasn't enough. You made us feel small and worthless at every opportunity. But someone who barely saw us recognized more worth in us than you ever did in 36 years. Mom tried one last manipulative tactic. Her voice shifted to wounded innocence. "After everything I did for you, Diane, after everything I sacrificed." I cut her off firmly. "You gave me a lifetime of feeling small, a lifetime of criticism, a lifetime of being compared to Vanessa and found lacking. I'm done accepting that treatment. We're done." I stood up from my chair. I took Emma's hand in mine. Together, we walked out of that office with Dr. Lorne following behind us. I didn't look back. 3 weeks passed after the will reading. Emma and I traveled to Colorado to see Marlene's property for the first time. It was a beautiful, sustainable home surrounded by mountains and forests and clean air. Emma had already enrolled in a graduate program. The trust fund covered everything. She was already publishing her first research paper. I had quit my medical billing job. I was now managing Marlene's environmental consulting business. It was something I never imagined I could do, but Marlene had believed I could, so I decided to believe it too. Mom tried calling several times. She left voicemails that shifted between anger and fake apologies. "Diane, you're being unreasonable. We need to talk about this like adults." Then 2 days later, "I didn't mean those things I said. You know how I get. Let's put this behind us." Vanessa sent a cold email asking for a loan. Apparently, her husband's business had hit serious financial trouble. I deleted every message without second thought. Emma and I planted a small tree in the front yard in Marlene's memory. We chose an oak, strong and enduring. Emma spoke softly as we patted down the soil. "She saw us, Mom. She really saw us when no one else did." I nodded. I felt a peace I hadn't known in years settling into my bones. Some people spend their whole lives trying to prove their worth to the wrong people. Marlene taught us the most important lesson. We were always enough. We just needed to believe it ourselves. We stood together in the Colorado sunlight, free. If your family ever made you feel worthless because you didn't fit their definition of success, I want you to know something. You are not alone. Subscribe to this channel and tell me your story in the comments below. I want to hear how you proved them wrong. I want to hear how you found your own path, despite the criticism and doubt. This video is dedicated to everyone who was underestimated and still rose above it. Click hype to help this story reach others who need to hear it today. Your story has power, real power. If you felt a connection to what I shared today, please subscribe and share your own journey in the comments. Every hype you give this video helps empower someone else who has been underestimated or dismissed by the people who should have supported them. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my story. It means everything to me and to Emma. We appreciate every single one of you.